Hey guys, welcome back to Play Retro. So I got a really cool package in the mail today. Big shout out to LITNXT. They just sent me a whole kit to customize my TrimUI Brick. So I got the metal backplate with the Play Retro logo, my original logo for the channel, and they sent me custom buttons. So they asked me I could have whatever two colors I wanted. I'm like, you know what, let's go with red and blue. And here I'm just showing what tools you're gonna need for this. You need T6 and you need a Phillips 2 whatever size. So there's only 6 screws on the back. I'm gonna quickly run you through how you actually do this. It's pretty self-explanatory. So you take the T6, take off those back screws on the back. Cool thing about the brick, it doesn't have clips, so it just kind of slides out. You just got to be careful because on the right hand side you do have like a little connector that goes to those back LEDs, and there's another connector going to the battery. So you just want to be easy with that. Don't just rip it off, you know. It's usually how these handhelds go. So here I'm just showing where the connection is. You have to pull it back enough for that connection to remove. And then there's some 2 screws holding that back plate in with those buttons that just slide into place, which is really cool. So here you just want to keep them in order, set them to the side. As you can see, I have this little container on the side so you can keep things organized. And as you can see, I start separating screws though, that way I know where to put things. And so I took off that little like thermal pad and I put it back right on the CPU. So instead of measuring it to the new backplate, I'm gonna put it right where the CPU is and not even worry about that. That's like the easy way. So as soon as you just swap those things out, put the buttons back in order, and then put those 2 screws back in place, and boom, you should be good to go with the backplate. Backplate is super easy. And here I'm just doing a quick button test, make sure everything feels good. And now the next part. So there's a light bar on the top. There's 5 screws total, 2 on the light bar and then 3 on the bottom, 1, 2, and then 3 right here. So it's really easy. You want to disconnect the ribbon cable, lift that little latch, and then the ribbon cable should come right out. Just be really careful with it. It's not that sensitive, but it's not too bad. And then you have those 2 speakers. Huge thing about this device, it has stereo sound, which is awesome. So those 2 speakers, you want to take those off. There's also another antenna on the top you have to remove, and then there's those 3 screws. So really easy, not too bad of a device. And then you just want to be gentle. You want to lift from the front over here where the ribbon cable is, and you want to like slide it out because that one USB-C at the bottom is holding in place. You kind of have to lift it up from the front out. So you want to work on those membranes. You're going to notice those buttons are attached to the membrane itself, which is kind of weird. So usually they just sit in the shell, but this one's actually inside the membrane, which is pretty cool. So look at that, buttons looking crispy, nice. So yeah, just put those back onto those like little posts you see where the membrane goes. And so here they gave me the buttons for those LED lights, and I was like thinking about it, like, do I want to keep the light there? And then I ended up putting them in first, but then later in the video you'll see that they didn't work out, so I ended up swapping them back to the original ones. I do like the light, but it really was the buttons that just didn't feel that good for those specific ones for some reason. And then I'm just putting in the other buttons. All these other buttons are pretty self-explanatory. Take out the other ones, put them in. This one, if you have 2 multicolor ones, they're supposed to be together, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to put everything back in. So as soon as you're done with that, you can pretty much slide the board back in. That's pretty much everything, and then you just do everything in reverse order. Put the light bar on first. This is the biggest thing. If you want this to be easy, you have to put the light bar in first. That way you don't have any issues. And then just reconnect everything. Connect the Wi-Fi antenna right there. Connect the ribbon cable, the 2 speakers. And right there I had to move the thermal pad a little bit just to make it a little bit easier on myself. And then the 2 speakers on the bottom. Make sure that's snug. As soon as everything looks good, start putting those 3 screws in. And now here you want to test, right? So just take a feeling for how everything feels. Does it feel correct? So here, after you got everything just the way you like it, you plugged everything back, you triple check all the connections. So now you got to plug in that battery back and make sure you plug in that LED where it's supposed to go. So it should just slide right in. You should feel that right side kind of like snug. And now you just pop in your SD card and give it a quick test before you screw everything in, which is what you'll see here. So power the device on. And you'll notice I did end up swapping those front buttons to the light buttons. One, I wanted to keep the light, and then two, it didn't feel right. Everything else feels great, but just those front two LED lights just didn't feel that right. So you want to give this a quick test, make sure every button works, make sure everything's connected. And then when you feel everything's good, go ahead and put those last screws back in. Then finally just give that one last kind of half turn, make sure everything is snug. And now go ahead and boot up a game and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Also make sure those speakers work. But look at this, now you have a one-of-a-kind, completely unique one-of-one TrimUI Brick. I can't wait to play this. I can't wait to take this outside and show it off. Definitely gonna make space for this on my shelf. But yeah, I want to give a huge thanks to LITNXT once again for providing both the custom buttons and custom backplate. If you guys want to pick one of these up, check out their store. Really good stuff. And I guarantee you guys can come up with something probably a lot more creative than I did. Maybe a better color combination, maybe a different color backplate, better design, better pizza, Papa John's.